All right, so we'll do 4.1, part 3. This is the hardest part, polynomial inequalities. I'm going to show you 2 ways to do it so that you'll know both, so it won't be so difficult. So what will happen is they'll give you something like this. X squared minus 5x minus 6 is greater than 0. Well, hopefully you know by looking at this that that's going to be a parabola. And we're going to find on this parabola where the pieces are bigger than 0, which are above the x-axis. So step 1 will be to factor. If they don't give it to you factored already. So when I look at that negative 6 here, I can do negative 1, positive 6, 1, negative 6, negative 2, 3, 2, negative 3. Which pair adds to make negative 5? 1, negative 6. So we'll factor that to x minus 6, x plus 1 is greater than 0. And then you tell me, and then you solve for x because that's your x-intercepts. X is 6 and negative 1. So I know that this graph crosses the x-axis at negative 1 and positive 6. I also know that it's going to look something like this because it opens upward. How do I know it opens upward? Because the leading coefficient is definitely positive. Okay? So I already think I know the answer, but I'm going to show you how to test it in case we get to problems that we can't tell. So what you have to do is start at negative infinity. Which of those x values do you come to first? As you go across from negative infinity over would be negative 1. And then we have from negative 1 to 6. See how that works? And then 6 to infinity. And since it's just greater than 0, not equal to, everybody gets a parenthesis. All right. So the next step is to pick a test value, a number that lives in that interval. So I'm going to use negative 2, 0, and 7. Plug into function and see if it's true. So put negative 2 in there. So, and you can go to the factored form or the original. I'm going to go up to the original and see if it's greater than 0. So that gives me negative 2 squared is positive 4. Negative 5 times negative 2 is positive 10. Minus 6 gives you 14 minus 6. 8 is definitely greater than 0. So that interval is true. It is greater than 0. When I put 0 in, 0 squared minus 5 times 0 minus 6 greater than 0. Well, that just all goes away. Is negative 6, I'm going to put true down here so you'll understand that, is greater than 0. That is false. Negative 6 is not greater than 0, so X that interval out. And then putting in 7, 7 squared minus 5 times 7 minus 6, is that greater than 0? So 49 minus 35 minus 6 greater than 0. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to give you 8. Is 8 greater than 0? Yeah. So when you write your answer, it looks like this. Negative infinity to negative 1 union 6 to infinity, which is exactly what we got from graphing. So if you were to put that, once you find your critical numbers, what is going on with my calculator? In the calculator to graph it. Okay. So if I go to y equals, and I clear that out, and you can use any app on your computer or your phone, x squared minus 5x minus 6, and I graph it, you can see where the graph is bigger than 0 above the x-axis. If it was less than 0, we would put the interval that's below the x-axis. So you can always use that to help you. Let's do one more for the good of the order. It's a little different. Let's try this one. Let's do x minus 2 multiplied by x plus 5 multiplied by x minus 4 is less than or equal to 0. So this one, we can already figure out what our values for x are because it's factored. X is something happens at 2, -5, and +4. So when I set up my intervals, I'm going to go -infinity to -5, -5 to 2, 2 to 4, and 4 to infinity. See how I go in chronological order from smallest to largest. You have to do it that way. You just can't throw numbers in there. And this is less than or equal to 0. So these, since it's got this equal to bar, these all get brackets. But hopefully you remember, you can never be equal to infinity, so it always gets a parenthesis. And we're going to find out which of these intervals works. I'm going to use -6 here, 0, 3, and 5. So when I go up here and put -6 in for x, -6 minus 2, -6 plus 5, -6 minus 4, gives me -8 multiplied by -1 multiplied by -10, gives me -80. Is that less than or equal to 0? You betcha, that's true. So this interval works. When I put 0 in, 0 minus 2, 0 plus 5, 0 minus 4. -2 times 5 times -4 gives me 40. Is that less than or equal to 0? No, that's false. So we mark that interval out. Putting in 3. 3 minus 2, 3 plus 5, 3 minus 4. 1 times 8 times -1 gives me -8. Is that less than or equal to 0? Yeah, so that one works. And then putting in 5, 5 minus 2, 5 plus 5, 5 minus 4. Is that less than or equal to 0? So 3 times 10 times 1, less than or equal to 0. Is 30 less than or equal to 0? Absolutely not. So our final answer here is -infinity to -5. -5 gets a bracket because it's less than or equal to union 2 to 4. And that will take care of 4.1.